When a poor Queens resident succeeds, he wants to show everyone how cool he is and, at the same time, inspire boys and girls from the hood with his story. But mostly to show his coolness, and rappers spend a lot of money on all kinds of meaningless stuff. 50 Cent and Ja Rule are an example of this because they waste thousands of bucks just to annoy each other. But what else do they spend their multi-million-dollar fortunes on? Let's find out.
Money.
This is too quiet. Something ain't right.
50 Cent versus Ja Rule. Who is cooler at spending money? 50 Cent, a rich bankrupt. Growing up in poverty in a dysfunctional family, Curtis James Jackson III went down a crooked path to prison. However, he had an entrepreneurial talent since childhood. By the age of 18, the guy was running the neighborhood, earning considerable cash. Therefore, it's not surprising that Curtis, known professionally as 50 Cent, was also very successful in legal affairs. After Eminem and Dr. Dre boosted 50 Cent's musical career and his debut album broke sales records, the artist immediately invested his millions in businesses. Investments in vitamin water paid off many times when Coca-Cola bought this company. On this deal, Mr. Jackson earned about $100 to $150 million. Lucrative contracts, collaboration with major brands, successful world tours, movie appearances, production activities, and of course, album sales. All of this allowed 50 Cent to roll in money. At his peak, his net worth exceeded $100 million, and at some point, it was even around $200 to $300 million. However, the brilliant plan failed, and several big mistakes led to him filing for bankruptcy in 2015. But did he really go bankrupt? Let's figure it out. While things were going well, the rapper was a big spender. Curtis especially liked to brag about the huge house in Connecticut he bought in 2003 from Mike Tyson. Back then, Tyson was going through divorce and bankruptcy, so he sold his mansion for around $4.1 million. 50 Cent spent another $6 million on a large-scale renovation. The area of the site is 17 acres, which equals around 12 football fields. The area of the house itself is 50,000 square feet. It has 21 bedrooms, 37 bathrooms, a private casino, a gym, a basketball court, a home theater, a nightclub, and a spa. The owner also had several swimming pools and a helipad at his disposal. And maintaining this enormous mansion was expensive. Utilities alone cost 50 Cent $18,000 per month. He spent $9,000 a month on security and another $5,000 on gardening, along with mortgage payments. Yes, Curtis took out a mortgage to buy it. Property tax, insurance, and other expenses. The maintenance of the house cost the rapper about $72,000 per month. 50 Cent tried to sell the property several times. In 2007, he put it up for sale for $18.5 million, and then lowered the price, but all to no avail. Having already filed for bankruptcy, the rapper put a price tag of $5 million. But no one fell for this tempting offer either. It was only in 2019 that he finally got rid of the mansion for a measly $2.9 million, remaining at a loss. The rapper's financial documents also included houses on Long Island and in Atlanta, but he did not advertise them. However, he publicly announced the construction of a mansion in Africa amid his bankruptcy but did not specify its cost. But he always loves to show off his collection of cars. He had several Rolls-Royces, several Lamborghini Aventador sports cars, a Mercedes G-Class, 3 models of Chevrolet Suburban of different generations, the Lamborghini Urus, the Maserati MC12, and a couple of years ago, Curtis bought the Bentley Mulsanne. He also boasted about purchasing the Bugatti Chiron and was spotted driving the Ferrari Enzo. However, the rapper was once caught lying. On a show on MTV, 50 Cent demonstrated rented Ferraris as his own. He also has 2 private jets. Moreover, 50 Cent used to spend as much on security as he did on show-offs. Back in 2009, he stated that his personal security cost him $1.6 million annually. Experts later called these expenses one of the largest among American celebrities. It's safe to say that Curtis doesn't really care where his money goes. Over time, dollar bills stopped seeming to be the most important thing in his life and turned into an expendable material for building his businesses. Another significant part of Mr. Jackson's expenses, which ruined him financially, is lawsuits. The only thing anyone can do in America is sue, the rapper once said. And since he became famous in 2003, his lawyers have always been busy with work. At some point, Curtis calculated his expenses for defense lawyers and was really shocked. They amounted to about $23 million. But that's not actually surprising. 50 Cent has a rich history of interactions with lawyers. He was arrested at least 3 times, he defended his right to use his name and image, and sued the mother of his child over child support. As a result, the rap star had to pay more than $14.5 thousand a month in child support. A major trial occurred in 2011. Then 50 Cent announced the launch of a line of wireless headphones. He signed a contract with one manufacturing company, but then decided to work with another. The former partners were, of course, not happy with this, hence they filed a major $17.2 million lawsuit for violation of confidentiality agreement. The judge sided with the company, but the rapper was in no hurry to pay the required amount. It got to the point that his bank account was frozen in 2014 due to the non-fulfillment of a court decision. 50 Cent's lawyers said at the time that their client had nothing to worry about because his account was properly protected. Meanwhile, the lawyers had to deal with a new case as the beef between 50 Cent and other influential rapper Rick Ross has reached a higher level. Their confrontation began back in the late 2000s. They humiliated each other in diss songs and interviews and played tough gangsters. Rick Ross ridiculed 50 Cent for scandals with his ex-wife and child support. And 50 in turn posted a home video with the opponent's ex-girlfriend Lastonia Leviston online and mockingly revoiced it. The video has gained about 4 million views, and the offended girl filed a lawsuit against the celebrity for violation of civil rights and causing emotional distress. As a result, the court was not favorable to the rapper again and ordered him to pay the victim $5 million in compensation and another $2 million in legal costs. However, the man did not pay this money and filed for bankruptcy, citing between $10 million and $50 million in debt and the same amount in assets. Then he clarified that the amount of debt obligations exceeded $30 million, and he had only $25 at his disposal. At the same time, some sources estimated his net worth at $155 million. I have faith in the court systems. I know at points you gotta just relax and go through the process, 50 said at the time, but continued to show off on social media as usual. The rapper had to appear in court to explain the photos where he sits next to a huge pile of $100 bills, and he said that money was not his. He was just standing next to it. As for the photos with stacks of dough in his fridge, he said it was prop money. 50 Cent claimed that he posted these photos on Instagram to keep up appearances, but the creditors sensed something wrong and began to suspect 50 Cent was lying. They were probably right, and Curtis did not really go bankrupt. He just didn't want to pay the fines and didn't want the offended Miss Levinston to affect his business operations. After all, more than 22 million albums sold, more than 20 films, and countless business ventures continued to generate him a profit. 50 Cent indirectly confirmed these assumptions, vaguely commenting on his bankruptcy. When you make money, you become a target, and I take precautions like any business person in a similar situation, he explained. Jackson's lawyers also did not stand aside and stated that their client continued his business affairs and artistic activities while putting his finances in order. And during the trials, a lot of interesting things became known about his expenses. He squanders $108,000 a month, which includes $3,000 on clothes and $1,000 on maintaining his star body. And it was revealed that Curtis, according to the documents, owed money to his stylist, hairdresser, and personal trainer. The spending also included $3,000 on food and entertainment and $2,000 on travel. However, the lawyers probably understated their client's expenses so that he could not look like a big spender in the eyes of the court and could be declared bankrupt. According to experts, his monthly income at the time was $185,000, mainly from royalties and interest on his investments. Back then, many sources tried to calculate the rapper's money. One of them claimed that his assets were worth $64 million, but a big part of it could not be withdrawn quickly. For example, $10 million invested in shares of various companies. By the summer of 2016, 50 Cent had dealt with most of the accusations against him. Curtis made a deal committing to pay $23 million in debts over 5 years. His lawyer then joyfully stated how his client highly appreciates the opportunity given to him and hopes to earn success in his personal and professional activities again. But the celebrity did not stay in debt for long. A year later, he settled all lawsuits and the bankruptcy case was finally closed. As the chatty lawyers reported, Jackson paid $8.7 million from personal funds and the rest from money received during the settlement of another case. Yes, 50 Cent spent a lot of time in the courts. Even his lawyers were unlucky. The rapper sued them, claiming they were the reason for his bankruptcy. However, the case was dismissed. But 50 Cent did not stop spending money on lawyers. In 2020, they defended his name again in a high-profile lawsuit against a plastic surgery clinic. Once, the owner and plastic surgeon of that clinic took a picture with the celebrity as a simple fan. Later, this woman used those photos in posts to promote manhood enhancement. What a way to put yourself out of business, 50 Cent commented on the ridiculous situation. So, how are things with Curtis's finances now? According to one major source, the rapper's net worth is around $30 million. Other experts say it's closer to $40 million. In 2018, the rapper signed a $150 million contract with the Starz cable channel, launched his brand of expensive champagne, and invested in bitcoins at the right time, which brought him $8 million. Moreover, this came as a surprise to Jackson. He had forgotten he had once allowed people to pay for his album with cryptocurrency. So, it's safe to say that 50 Cent is doing just fine. He can even afford to buy 200 tickets in the front rows for Ja Rule's concert, so the latter performs in front of empty seats. Both musicians are from Queens, and their feud began back in the 1990s. Since that time, they released more than one diss track, fought, and of course, trolled each other. In 2011, they seem to have buried the hatchet and went about their business. However, it did not last long, and 4 years later, the feud resumed. In 2018, 50 Cent spent $3,000 so that Ja Rule would perform in front of an empty hall in Arlington, Texas. He also mocked the low cost of tickets, $15 each, and posted a few Photoshop pictures on his Instagram. In them, he depicted himself sitting in empty stands. This is what, according to 50, the concerts of his rival look like. And Ja Rule couldn't think of anything better than posting photos of 50 Cent with women's hairstyles. Do you think it was a worthy response? Ja Rule, a gambler. Ja Rule himself is also a big spender. Making a splash is better than cash. He followed this principle from the very beginning of his career, and now his net worth is only $4 million. Jeffrey Bruce Atkins Sr. began his rap career in 1994 with a hip-hop group, but soon decided to work solo. The first album brought him a considerable profit, selling 184,000 copies in the first week, and in 2002, the album sales exceeded 2 million worldwide. The following albums also had commercial success, and the rapper started throwing money around. In the early 2000s, he purchased a mansion in Saddle River, New Jersey for almost $2 million. It has an area of around 6,000 square feet. It's, of course, not comparable to the huge mansion of 50 Cent, but it's still not bad. The rapper parked in his garage a Lamborghini Murcielago worth $290,000, a premium Rolls-Royce Phantom drop-head coupe worth $400,000, and a BMW i8 worth $122,000. In 2022, he added a Range Rover worth $185,000 to his fleet. And of course, every rapper must have a bling. Ralph Lauren watches alone cost Ja Rule $400,000. He also bought himself diamond rings worth $10,000 each and other jewelry worth $100,000. Mr. Atkins also loves investing in business ventures. He launched his clothing line, founded the Mojito Liquor Company, co-founded a talent agency, and participated in many other endeavors. But one adventure brought him only notoriety, not profit. We're talking about a music festival the rapper organized with his business partner, Billy McFarland. The event, called the Fire Festival, was scheduled to take place at the end of April 2017 on a private island in the Bahamas. People paid thousands of dollars, but what they received for their money shocked them. Piles of garbage, lack of food, and squalid tourist tents of tiny sizes. Having learned about these poor conditions, most of the artists refused to perform. Unsurprisingly, by the summer, Ja Rule was facing more than a dozen lawsuits and fraud charges. The trials dragged on for several years, and Ja Rule had to spend tens of thousands of dollars on lawyers. However, his legal team did a great job because, in the end, all charges were dropped, and he did not pay a cent to the victims. But his business partner was not so lucky and was sent to prison. And this was not the first trial of the celebrity. So, Ja Rule also spent a lot on lawyers and fines. It all started in 2003 when he pleaded guilty to assaulting a man in Toronto and paid a $1,200 fine. In 2004, Ja Rule was a participant in the shooting trial, but he came out clean. However, he was arrested for possession of prohibited substances and driving without a license. History repeated itself in 2007, but now it was not only possession of substances, but also weapons. As a result, he pleaded guilty and went to prison. But that was not the end of his problems with the law. The rapper was also not eager to pay taxes. It turned out that he failed to pay taxes on more than $3 million in earnings between 2004 and 2006. Hence, he received another prison sentence. Ja Rule was released early on May 7, 2013, and told about his adventures in his memoir, Unruly: The Highs and Lows of Becoming a Man to Make Some Money. By the way, in this book, he talks a lot about 50 Cent and their feud. Yes, both 50 Cent and Ja Rule spend their money on similar things: cars, investments, lawyers, but there is one more thing Ja Rule loves to spend his dough on: gambling. Perhaps that's why his net worth is much less than that of 50 Cent. Mr. Atkins just loves betting on basketball, the Super Bowl, and the like, and he usually bets a couple $100,000 at once. Sometimes Ja Rule wins. For example, one day he won about $100,000 at a dice game and then bragged about it for a long time. However, after losing a lot of money on gambling, he tries not to bet as much now. And the rapper does not spare money for his beloved wife, Aisha. One day, the paparazzi spotted him spending more than $5,000 on gifts to his wife in a few minutes. By the way, after 50 Cent bought the tickets to the Ja Rule concert, the offended rapper accused his rival of lying and promised big money to anyone who would provide him with photos and videos from that very show in Texas. However, he did not specify what kind of photos he needed, but apparently from the front rows. Ja Rule said he would give $10,000 to everyone who sends evidence of full attendance. But it did not end well. One fan decided to deceive the rapper and sent a photo from another concert. However, no one knows if anyone actually received those $10,000. Yes, Ja Rule squanders money on gambling, cars, and dubious ideas just to amuse his ego. But he also does good deeds. He founded the Life Foundation, which helps children from disadvantaged families through various programs such as art, music, poetry, and sports.
Y'all follow and make sure you don't break no shit on the way out.
So, whose spending did you find more impressive, 50 Cent's or Ja Rule's?